Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first installment of Soul Food for Thought. I'm your host, Caleb Clark Souls, and today I have with me Fortuna Yemeni. Go ahead and say hi.
Hi everyone, I'm Fortuna Mane. I am also a senior at Richardson High School, and I'm excited to be here today.
All right, tell us how your week went, Fortuna.
Week was about the week of a typical high school senior. Grades were due this last quarter, so a lot of turning in late assignments. That was fun.
All right, so you told me that you wanted to talk about the American education system. I don't know if you still do.
Yeah, I feel like that's a fruitful topic. We could go a lot of directions with that. It's not the only good topic.
Yeah, right here on these tabs, I do have United States education system pulled up, so you can get a brief overview of that. And I also have a pretty interesting topic that I just learned about yesterday, which is afrofuturism.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah, my mom knows a woman who's a professor.
In afrofuturism. It's pretty awesome.
That's true. So we can go any direction you want. We can go to some current events as well.
In debate, we do a lot of Afro-optimism, Afro-pessimism, I think Afro-futurism is another branch stemming off that.
The BBC. It's pretty much just Trump shit and some railroads. But yeah, we can start off wherever you want.
Okay. Did you want to talk about Afrofuturism or education system?
It's really just the coin flip for me.
Okay. So I think with the education system, there's a lot to be discussed in terms of how much students hate it and how we're not exactly the best in terms of education in the United States and what can be done to kind of remedy that.
Okay. So you're going to be looking through the lens of a student?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Go ahead. Do you have any points that you want to start off with?
Well, for one, students nowadays are very stressed out and overworked, I guess. It's kind of a race to the finish, right? A lot of students are trying to be better than other students, one up each other on the resumes to try to get into the best colleges, get the best scholarships, move on to UP, and I think that's taking a toll in terms of mental health and general well-being of each student.
You think that's a new development?
I think so, yeah. I think that.
So what do you think? Go back 20 years. You're looking at something completely different?
I think go back 20 years, the price of college has drastically decreased, and people were a lot less selective about what college they went to. I think that going to an Ivy League was an expectation for some sort of students, but now other students are kind of striving for that, at least a lot more comparatively to 20 years ago.
So in terms of going to college, you're saying that an Ivy League used to be a reach school for most people, but now it's a viable option, you think? Or they think it should be a viable option?
Yeah, and I think that's a good thing, considering, I guess the wealth gap amongst a lot of minorities. And, I think it's a good thing that people are starting to look to Ivy Leagues as a feasible option, but it's also upping the competition, And now students are overworking themselves to try to get into good schools.
I think it's also indicative of our economy, would you say?
So?
I think there's a lot of articles coming out about how millennials, they're not getting jobs, they're not holding jobs, they're living paycheck to paycheck. And I think it's because the student debt crisis is so relevant right now. And I think students will, because of societal factors and pressure, I think students will go into huge amounts of debt just to have that on their resume that they went to a good college.
Yeah. I agree. I think it's becoming more of an expectation now, which is probably not the best thing. College isn't the route for everyone, and a lot of people don't understand that or refuse to accept it and kind of just think, well, if you have a degree, it'll still make whatever you want to do easier, which is probably true, but at the same time, I feel like nowadays a bachelor's degree might be becoming equivalent to a high school degree. To a certain point, There's also that article we read in AP Research, or AP Seminar last year, was it, about how jobs are becoming more and more automated, so that it's much harder to get jobs.
That's also a factor.
Mm-hmm.
But that's more, I'd say, on the lower level of things, like data entry, and it's not like synthesizing data or interpreting it. So I think that's going to become increasingly important in the future. Not just to have lower level workers. We want to be able to strive to get everyone to have a higher education.
Yeah.
In whatever field they want. That doesn't necessarily mean they have to go to college, but maybe they're going to be an artist and they need to go to trade school.
So what do you think of that argument? Well, somebody needs to take my order at McDonald's. Yeah.
I think it works in capitalism. I do not think it works in a socialism or communism.
Okay.
I think that people who believe that are a product of capitalism.
It's probably not false considering who I've heard that from, but yeah.
Were they conservative or what?
More on the conservative side.
Yeah.
More on the you work for what you get side. So.
Yeah, I mean I've heard that argument many times.
But I also think in terms of college, the prices of college have been just going up drastically. I mean, we can pull up the charts right now, but just definitely just increased past the point of how it was, say, 50 years ago. I think it was a lot easier to get a college degree.
In terms of the coursework or in terms of actually getting into college?
I think in terms of paying for college, in terms of not getting yourself in debt. At this point, debt in college is something that a lot of students are trying to actively avoid, but are kind of bound to incur. You know?
I think there's not enough social stigma on debt.
Yeah.
I think people's, well, at least student debt or student loan debts, I think people see it as an acceptable option.
Yeah.
When they don't know that they're going to be paying it off 30 years, 40 years into the future.
I think in general, like students nowadays know very little about economics in terms of how they should manage their finances, I guess. I personally don't know anything. I can admit that right now. I'm trying to get into some podcasts that tell me more about those sorts of things. But yeah, I think we're very I guess not knowledgeable in that aspect.
Undereducated.
Undereducated for sure.
I mean, yeah, unless you go seeking the courses, it's not a requirement.
Yeah, it's not something readily offered to us.
Yeah, I think a finance class would do wonders for some people. Some people that I know.
So another thing about education system, do you think that the classes that are required of us nowadays are still relevant, or should we try to shift the topic?
I think this is going to become increasingly apparent in the next 10 years or so as we move more and more towards automation, that the education system right now, what it's preparing us for, at least at a high school level, is not going to be very relevant to the technology that exists and the job openings in the market.
In terms of what specific courses?
Well, you're always going to need math courses if you're going to develop new tech. But in terms of, I think there's not enough focus. There's too much focus on the STEM field and not enough focus on dealing with people and kind of interpreting data in a way that you can synthesize between like the STEM field and the humanities field. You can help people
and present
connect.
That to people.
Yeah, and help people understand what's going on.
I think in terms of like liberal arts approach to education, it's not necessarily a bad idea. That's kind of what we have going on in high school, but it's not done to the best. I think again, like what you said, we focus on STEM and education. I mean, kids at our school nowadays, it's almost an expectation to take AP English if you're a student who is an overachiever, I guess you would say, in school, but certainly not AP Chemistry or AP Physics. Those classes are reserved for basically anyone really. I don't think they're really reserved for a specific group, or except for I guess students who have more interest in STEM. You know, so like AP English is just kind of a class you take just to take.
I think there's a lot of societal pressure to go into the STEM field because that's what makes money. At least that's the myth. I don't know if that's actually true or not.
I don't disagree.
I think that parents are telling their kids that they need to be a doctor or they need to be anything in the STEM field, you know,
engineer,
chemist, engineer. I don't think people are saying past being a lawyer that you need to go into the humanities.
Yeah.
I think a lawyer is really the only instance where people are pressured into.
Yeah, encourage the humanities.
I think that's really the only fact that I can think of right now.
Yeah, or even think about like relevant courses like AP Environmental Science, AP Computer Science especially. I think that those two are very, very relevant courses for the next, I guess, 50 years or so, something that we should be requiring them to take, but instead we're looking at courses like, take AP Physics, for example. You know, I don't necessarily agree that's a course every student should have to take.
Yeah, I mean, physics, irrelevant right now. Come on.
Yeah.
I I mean, unless you're going to be a physicist, astrophysicist.
Yeah. I think there's
Neil
certain.
deGrasse Tyson.
I think that physics does a lot to explain the world around us, but isn't necessarily bringing forth any knowledge. Like if I'm speeding down a highway and if I don't press my brakes, I think I understand intuitively that I'm going to keep going. You know, it's nothing really urgent that students need to know. I guess the math applications aren't necessary.
It's the foundation for discovery. You don't think that the discovery of how our universe works is important knowledge?
I think that that's important knowledge. I don't think that's as important as understanding the effects of climate change on our ecosystem or looking at the bees population drastically decreasing and seeing what we can do to mitigate that and how we can work to be better humans, especially considering how overpopulation is, I guess, in the near future, you know.
But does it have to be mutually exclusive? Do we
They
have
don't.
to not have a focus on understanding the universe?
They don't, but I do think that the fact that such a heavy emphasis is placed on STEM classes, we kind of take away from things like environmental science. They can only make us take so many classes a year. You know?
Yeah, that's true. So do you have anything else to say about the American education system in terms of how it's failed? Do you think it's failed?
I don't think it's necessarily completely failed us, right? America is still very innovative. We've done a lot of great things. It's not the worst education system. I don't think it's quite the best either. Yeah. I think that there's a lot of emphasis on things like gun control and school safety and not enough on the students themselves. You know?
Yeah. I mean, what would you say is a good example of a successful education system?
And stereotypical response, but something like that. Yeah.
One of them. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I feel like people look at kind of Southeastern Asia as a good example, but also that brings the fact that they're all focused on math as well.
Yeah.
I doubt there's any humanities really going on there at all. If there is, it's an abysmal amount, I'd say. So what should we do to fix the education system?
That's a very loaded question. I'm a 17-year-old girl. I don't think I can propose any changes to the education system that are really valid. How about you?
Well, this is just speculation.
Yeah.
It's not like we're writing up legislation right now. I mean, it's good to have a dialogue about what should happen.
Okay, in that case, I think maybe definitely do something to mitigate the cost of college.
So you're looking more at a higher education,
yeah,
and not at the standard high school.
I mean, I think that's what's setting us. That's what's standard education is setting us up for. And nowadays, and I think that itself should be changed. I don't think we should be setting students up for a college education, but rather going to the real world and maybe putting less focus on what we as a society value, like STEM.
That being said, will you be attending college in the fall?
That being said, I probably will be.
And are you going to incur student, if I may ask, student debt?
I genuinely hope not. That's one of my goals within the next few years to not incur any student debt. Ideally, that would happen.
Okay.
Realistically, probably not.
Do you have anything else to say on the education system?
I personally don't. Do you?
I really don't have anything else to say. Let's move on to our next topic, which I heard about yesterday, which is afrofuturism.
Interesting.
Would you like a background, or do you think you got the gist? I know you're into the.
I think I should get a background specific on afrofuturism. What reading I've done is very light.
UFO or let's go to the Washington. Okay. Well, this is talking about Black Panther. What did you think about Black Panther, by the way?
I thought it was an amazing movie. I think that the idea of seeing a lot of, I guess, Black boys and girls, young children watching a movie, finding like a role model to look up to, I guess, that isn't the caricature of a stereotypical American, and I guess succeeding and having a lot of buzz around that movie amongst people who weren't Black and African American. I guess it was a good experience, and I think the movie itself was pretty amazing and interesting and funny.
Yeah. Okay. So.
And if that's what afrofuturism looks like, I think I'm excited to see what else it brings.
The basic explanation I got about afrofuturism is focusing on how future like technological development is whitewashed, as in like space exploration.
Yeah.
And where we're going in the future is a white future, where people there's no voices of color
Okay.
giving input on what we should do in the future. It's kind of like a bunch of white people saying, let's go make a moon base and exclude all the black people, pretty
Okay.
much.
And afrofuturism says the implications of this are what? Bad for society, bad for black people.
Let's look at the Wikipedia. It's a cultural, aesthetic, philosophical branch. It's a philosophy of science. The developing intersection of African American culture with technology. Science fiction. It's pretty much a lens that, you know, hermeneutics, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a hermeneutic. There's like queer hermeneutics, women's hermeneutics.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. So you analyze texts through the lens of the African American life.
I think that really makes sense. You've seen the movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I'm gonna give out any spoilers alerts for anyone who hasn't seen it, but I guess the aspect of finding vibranium in Wakanda and making the claim that it originates from there. I really see those aspects in the movie, and I appreciate it personally.
I mean, yeah.
That representation.
In my opinion, well, when you look at science fiction, it's always the white astronauts.
Yeah. Black guy always dies first. Usually.
Yeah, that is a trope.
Yeah.
Let's see. So basically, it includes black authors. You know, the above art, obviously.
Amazing girl.
And pretty much authors, artists, artists of all kinds, like paintings and also music.
Yeah, I picked up on the music for sure. I guess the soundtrack that created a lot of buzz, that movie. Kendrick Lamar and his part, etc.
Mm-hmm. So, and then Marvel Comics.
I just think it's interesting watching the movie, compared to any other movie. I was really aware of the fact that there was only one really white main character, or semi-main character. And it's not that it bothered me, but I kind of noticed it, as opposed to watching a normal movie where there's only one black main character, and I don't really notice anything different about the movie.
Do you think it's problematic that they made an African American the villain? And I know there's a lot of stigma between African people and African Americans.
Yeah.
Being as, I don't want to make any generalizations, but usually the older African generations kind of look down upon African Americans in their culture.
Yeah. There's definitely a divide between being African and being black. I think a lot more commonly in the younger generations, we don't find a distinction, having been raised in American culture and being familiar with it. But for sure, definitely know of a lot of adults in my community being East African who dislike black people as much as some white Americans do, and I find it hypocritical and just absurd. Really.
So do you think it's a problem that they would make the one African American character the bad guy?
I don't
in a world full of Africans.
think it's necessarily a problem. I think they depicted, that anger really well. You know, the anger of the system and where it led him and his son, and or I guess him and his father. I think it did well to capture that, and I think that the overall, the overall theme of the movie doesn't really, blame the African American or the black.
Yeah, I mean, I myself found myself siding with Killmonger. He's the main villain.
Yeah.
I found myself siding with him a couple times in the movie.
Yeah. I wish they did less to depict him as just, your stereotypical angry black man, but I think that his arguments in a lot of ways I agree with. I definitely could sympathize with the situation. I found myself wondering which side I was really for, and I think that's kind of what the movie did for a lot of people who watched, not really knowing who the good guy was, I guess.
Speaking about kind of these issues with culture and different cultures, what do you think about this Bruno Mars stuff?
What Bruno Mars stuff?
People are all mad because he's culturally appropriating R&B and soul music.
Okay. I
Do you think that's problematic for Bruno Mars to make soul music?
I don't know. I'm very conflicted because a part of me wants to say he is getting insanely popular, insane amounts of money off of something that he can never really truly relate to and can never really, I guess any reproduction of that music would never truly be soul in my eyes. But another thing is that I honestly, to the best of my, I guess, understanding, believe that Bruno Mars truly does appreciate Black culture, and he does a great way of showing it, does a great way of recreating some R&B and soul aspects, and bringing back sort of funk type music, and I appreciate that a lot as someone who likes that kind of music, and I guess understands the distinction between appropriating Black culture and simply appreciating it. So I don't know.
What is the bright line between appreciation and appropriation?
I don't think there really is a bright line, but I think common arguments I've heard are that if you give credits to the origins of what you're appropriating and kind of give a nod of acknowledgement, it kind of looks less like appropriation. But I think at the end of the day, if you are taking a culture that isn't yours and using it for your personal gain in some ways, it's kind of leaning towards appropriation. But I don't know. I think that I can appreciate Bruno Mars in his music.
My only problem with it is that I know I can't have a problem with it because I'm a white man. But why Bruno Mars? He pays so much respect and homage to Black artists and kind of Black history, as opposed to people like Post Malone. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, I like Post Malone.
Sorry. Yeah.
Fine. I like Post Malone, but he's a lot easier to target, and I think he's a lot less sympathetic to the Black issues. I'd say he's closer to a culture vulture than Bruno Mars.
Okay.
There's a lot of basically my point is there's a lot of actually, first of all, white people who have not dealt with systemic racism or oppression. First of all, and second of all, they're doing it worse. They're not paying proper respect. So I don't really understand why Bruno Mars was singled out.
I think that he's an easier target probably because of his fame and popularity, but I do agree that in terms of like white artists or I guess non-Black artists appropriating Black culture and Black music, he's definitely not the worst. He's probably on the better end of the scale. You know, I mean even people like Miley Cyrus or people that we go to school with every single day who appropriate Black culture yet still probably roll their windows up when a Black person walks by their car. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. It's an issue, definitely. I don't know.
But I will say, I am a pretty big Bruno Mars fan.
You like Bruno?
Yeah.
Has he had any recent projects? I don't listen to Bruno Mars.
Oh no, I'm not that big of a fan to know if he has recent projects, but he's a cool guy. His music always puts me in a dancing mood. You know, can't get too mad at someone who's that good at it.
Exactly. Do you have anything you want to talk about?
I guess just on the last topic, I would say that what bothers me, I guess, in terms of cultural appropriation, I think what bothers a lot of Black people is not so much the person, I guess, paying homage to a certain culture and recreating some aspects of it, but more so the fact that society as a whole looks to people like Bruno Mars and thinks that what they're doing is innovative and new and they don't understand the real history behind these things and kind of, I guess, the just cultural appropriation as a whole. Think about a lot of advancements that people from Asia, people from Africa have made, Latin America, etc. A lot of really cool advancements that were that credit was taken for them by Europeans, you know, and probably based most on the Eurocentric, I guess, education system, which is another terrible thing. I could go talk about that all day, but I guess not really respecting where it came from, because I'm sure Bruno Mars does respect Black culture, and I'm sure he understands.
Yeah, I've seen quotes.
Yeah.
From him.
Being a creator of that music, there's no way you can't, I guess, somewhat understand where your music is coming from, but I think as a whole society doesn't necessarily understand that.
Yeah, I mean his whole team's Black. I think his manager's Black. He's surrounded by Black people, so I think he's really trying his best to not steal the culture.
Yeah.
I think he just appreciates it.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think he just appreciates.
Yeah.
I'm trying to look at some news topics here.
And as someone who has faced a lot of, I guess, discrimination against Black culture, African American culture, etc., I think that seeing someone who genuinely appreciates the culture is just a refreshing change from people who, I guess, are more hypocritical about it. You know, we go to school with people who have tons of Black friends, yet still hang Trump supporters on their walls and listen to trap music and, yeah, etc.
Trap music at the Trump rallies, right?
Yeah.
On that topic of experiencing racism, I don't know if this is too personal or not, but my mom once told me that until she was told what sexism was, she did not think she had experienced it.
Okay.
So when is the first time you think you experienced racism?
I mean, I guess being a minority, you always have this feeling that we can all, I guess, agree on is not knowing whether something is racist. You know, just subtle things. Sure, there's the blatantly.
I understand that.
Yeah, someone calling you.
I see it happen.
Yeah, and you, especially being like a child or growing up from being a child, of course, you kind of look back and think, oh wow, that happened. I wonder if that was
racist.
Yeah, that I wonder if that was racist. I think knowing that okay, that was blatantly racist, allows you to move past it and accept it and think, okay, that was a racist thing, that's a shitty thing that someone did. I can move past it versus truly not knowing whether you've been discriminated against. I mean,
I think it's scarier to not know.
Yeah, it's definitely scary to not know. I mean, like, just think about all the teachers I've had from elementary school. I mean, I went to a white majority, very affluent elementary school. Not that I was as a kid, but elementary school that was very much split down the middle. Anyone who's Black was probably under the poverty line or somewhat close to it. And anyone who's white was probably, let's just say Republican. High income tax bracket, etc. So I guess just having teachers who refused to listen to me or like tended to side with the white kids or I thought were a bit harsh on me. I look back and I don't know. Maybe I was just a terrible student. I'm sure I was a very rambunctious kid, but you also have to wonder whether there was a racist aspect to it. So I think, I guess, understanding how other people face discrimination in the world helps me understand, okay, that probably was racism or that probably wasn't racism. I definitely agree with your mom in terms of not knowing what it looks like until you hear about it or talk about it.
I mean, yeah, it's the biggest fear I would have is not knowing who my allies are.
Yeah. No, for sure. I get that a lot. Like talking to someone or befriending someone even for weeks, months, and then hear from someone else they support Trump or they're actually really racist. You know.
Do you think supporting Trump is irredeemable?
I don't think supporting Trump is irredeemable at all.
Do you think it makes you racist?
Not at all. Definitely not. But I think that whenever I hear someone who says supports some of Trump's views or blatantly outright just supports him as a person, I think that you have to consider him. It's always a possibility, you know. And I guess considering someone being a Trump supporter, you kind of have to consider that possibility of them being racist even more so than them being a random person, you know.
Yeah.
You really have to wonder, are you out for my best interest? Are you the Trump supporter that simply supports his economic policies or dislikes immigration, but all of those aspects in some way indirectly insinuates that they don't appreciate my existence or me being in America or me getting government support, etc.
I'm going to go on record saying this right now. If you support Trump because of his economic policies, you don't understand economics.
Yeah.
You actually do not understand economics. So that's an invalid reason to support Trump.
Yeah. It's a reason a lot of people support Trump. I think immigration, I find one of the more valid issues.
Oh, do you have opinions on immigration?
No, I personally, my parents are here because of immigration. I know a lot of people who immigrated here. I am in full support of immigration, but I do get, I guess, that fear of the other. You know, I can't sympathize or empathize with it, but it's one of the more valid sounding beliefs that Trump supporters have, I guess. But I don't think that immigrants are taking their jobs, you know.
Yeah. I mean,
I think immigrants made America the best it can possibly be, if anything.
Yeah, we're all immigrants, but honestly, I think our system is not built in a way to support people that aren't registered. And I think we could change that pretty easily, I believe.
No, for sure.
But yeah, it's all set up around, oh, do you have your social security number? Where were you born? You know, all this. So I think I admire illegal immigrants at least.
Yeah.
Regular immigrants, cool, but
yeah.
Illegal immigrants, I actually admire them, how they're able to fit into a society where the system
It's really
doesn't
against
know
them.
the system's against them. First of all, and second of all, there's no way they can even use the system
Mhm.
because they're not part of the system.
The system doesn't recognize them as
Yeah,
being part
So-
of America.
it's pretty impressive that you can actually survive that way.
I mean, I will
not
give
in a
it.
great way, but I'm sure it's better than if they came from their country to a place where they're going to be discriminated against and have a hard time finding work and working for pretty much dirt cheap.
Mhm.
Then I mean, you gotta wonder what they're running away from.
Yeah.
Or why they're immigrating.
But I will give a shout out to legal immigrants here because getting a visa isn't easy.
Oh my gosh, I've heard of the process.
Yeah.
Insane.
I think part of the process, I may be wrong, but proving that the job you get here isn't taking away a job from the American system.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just find it interesting. But yeah, illegal immigrants for sure. I know a lot of people who immigrated here illegally and went through hell and back just to get here, and are continuously going through a lot of, I guess, a lot of shit. But what's crazy to me, in spite of all that, they still are very appreciative of what they have here in America. You know?
Yeah.
And
I mean, despite all the bad stuff going on in America, it is a great place.
Yeah.
I will say that I appreciate living here. I don't appreciate the leadership at this moment, but I think it's our job to change it. If you want, you got to make the government you want.
yeah, and I think at the end of the day, that's what America's about, right? Creating a place that
It's carving out your own place in the world.
Yeah.
Picking legislation that you like. It's not a true democracy, but I think it's the closest successful example that we have.
Yeah.
To a democracy.
we are very privileged people living here. It's a thing to acknowledge.
Yeah. And I mean, acknowledge your privileges, people. In light of International Women's Day, are there any women that you want to give a shout out to right now?
Shout out to my mama. Shout out to your mama.
Okay.
Shout out to Halle Berry for watching a movie about her in English class. Not about her, but featuring her. I want to say Their Eyes Were Watching God.
Okay. Is she the main character?
She is.
Okay.
She's a very interesting woman, so I'll leave it at that.
Great actor. Any women you want to talk about?
I can't think of any at the top of my head, but I guess just do you? I don't know.
I know you're a big fan of Judith Butler.
Oh yeah, she is the best.
Any
ever.
philosophical views you want to talk about?
Well, she writes a lot about I guess gender being performative and sexuality, and has a lot of very interesting ideas I think are under discussed in the world. And I personally don't disagree with anything she says. I usually lean towards normative philosophy, looking at ethics and morality. And she's one of the few philosophers that I genuinely love that doesn't look towards that. But
Is she existentialist?
I don't really know how to categorize her. She just kind of talks a lot about, I guess, society in relation to gender and sexuality. One of her main arguments is that gender and sexuality or gender and sex, are two different things. And she makes that distinction, saying that gender is created by society and constantly needs to be, I guess, reproduced in a way or kept up. And I guess in terms of anyone out there who's into transgender rights and gay rights, all that stuff, she's a great person to look towards. She's a great person to look towards. So.
She was from America, I'm assuming.
She's white female. I don't know anything else about her background.
Okay. When was she alive? You know that?
She's still alive right now.
Oh, she's alive.
Yeah.
How old is she?
Yeah, I don't know.
Shouts out to Judith Butler.
Yeah. You're a great person.
Speaking of white women, what are your thoughts on feminism versus womanism?
What's the distinction? What's the difference?
Womanists say that feminism is a white lady's construct.
Okay.
And a privilege movement, and womanism is pretty much a minority women's rights movement.
Okay.
It says that white women are privileged and they don't really understand. They're like on the third wave of feminism, and womanists are still on kind of like the first wave.
Okay. I think that the whole white feminism debate is, I think that advocating, I guess, for equality in terms of sex. I think that saying we should form a separate movement because of our differences in skin color is kind of just a little bit contradictory to the movement as a whole, right? If we're supporting women, I think we should be supporting women all around, because I think to say that white feminists, they are privileged, I will say, compared to other females. But I definitely will say that they still go through a lot of shit that needs to be addressed in America, but those are first world problems. I'll concede to that, and I'll say that that's a very true statement. And I mean, even in America, you still have minority females who experience all the same legal rights as white females, but not exactly the same privileges. I guess in terms of the movement, it depends on the distinction between what country we're in, right? I think that womanism shouldn't necessarily exist in America or in the United States, but in underdeveloped countries for sure.
My biggest issue with social movements, be it gay, trans, gun control, any liberal movement, is that liberals do not know how to unite on one topic.
Yeah.
Conservatives do a really good job of putting their differences aside for the moment and focusing on the one issue that they want to address. And liberals just can't do that.
I think the difference is because I want to say liberalism tends to be more of a spectrum, and I think that when you're so conservatism at its core is sticking to core values, sticking to the things that to the way that things have been done. I think that whenever you try to advocate for a change in the status quo, try to advocate for some sort of switch on how things should be done instead, there are going to be a lot of different opinions on what exactly those changes should look like, thus resulting in a wide range of, I guess, different liberals and ideologies. You have people who simply believe the government shall let us do whatever the fuck we want, and then people who also believe that socialism, or I guess democratic socialism, is a way to go, and different things in between. People who want to focus on Green Party movement, I think all forms of liberalism want some sort of change for society, thinking that it will maximize equality and freedom, etc. But I think it's natural to disagree on how to do it. And I don't know if anything can be done to change that.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say it's pretty problematic that you can't even agree on one thing.
Yeah, it's problematic for sure. I mean, think of gun control, right?
Yeah.
Most
we
liberals
want gun
probably
control,
agree.
but we have to do it this way. We can't do it this way.
Yeah.
They don't want to come together and work.
Yeah. Kind of sad.
And also, I'm going to say this on the record again, anyone that's on the far side of any political party, if you're far right or far left, you're wrong. Anyone that's far anything is incorrect.
I don't disagree. I mean, I do disagree.
I think you need a balance. You don't think...
I think that there are certain beliefs that you can be far left on and far right. I think overall, if you're always far left or always far right, okay, in that case,
you need a balance.
I think that there's no way you're not 50% or more wrong about what you believe in. It's
possible. You can't be. I don't know.
Maybe explain that more. Kind of.
You mean you're wrong if you're on the far right?
Yeah.
So think about what do you think about when you think of far left? Someone who aligns with far left.
Far left. Let's go with banning guns. Police officers shouldn't be allowed to carry weapons. Let's go with immigration legalized to the fullest extent. Let's go with female empowerment all around.
Okay.
Let's go with non-binary restrooms.
Okay.
Etc.
What I was kind of fishing for there was what kind of person do you see when you see a far left? You hear far left.
I don't know, stereotypical SJW.
I didn't want to say it, but for the sake of nomenclature.
Okay.
SJWs do not want to give their opposition an equal platform.
Yeah.
They want to take away their voice, and I think that is one of the worst things you can do.
I think that's a really good explanation of a social justice warrior, just not wanting to give any other platforms. I guess
they're like toddlers and they want their way.
Yeah.
Okay, and then so that's incorrect, right? The far left, wrong. Far right, they just want to troll everyone. I read this great thing. Hold on, I'm gonna pull it up. They're pretty much just like, oh, you're triggered. I'm gonna do the same thing that triggered you, just for fun.
Yeah.
Just to make you triggered. Let's see if I can pull this up here.
And almost in a twist aspect, they're kind of the equivalent of an SJW, not really running other.
They're the same thing.
Yeah, same
They're the
side,
same thing.
Same thing.
So
Which is so ridiculous. They tend to hate each other. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, political divide in America is insane. All right, let's read this article from what's her name? Catherine Mangu Ward. She is the editor-in-chief of Reason magazine. This is from the New York Times. Modern American political discourse can seem disjointed to the point of absurdism. But the problem isn't just filter bubbles, echo chambers, or alternative facts. It's tone. When the loudest voices on the left talk about people on the right, it's with an air of barely concealed smugness. Quick to declare them either beyond the pale or dupes of their betters, so they're idiots, pretty much. Right-wingers, for their part, increasingly respond with the churlish, "Oh yeah, hold my beer," and then double down on whatever politically incorrect sentiment brought the disdain in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Two terrible tendencies now feed off of each other, growing stronger every day. The more smugness, the more satisfying to poke holes in it. The more toxic the trolling, the greater the sense of moral superiority. The result? An odoriferous stew of political rhetoric that is nearly irresistible to those on the inside, and confusingly abhorrent to those on the outside. So, my opinion on that is that the divide in America right now is the very vocal minority speaking on each side.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it deters the average person from getting involved in politics. That's why our voter turnout is so low.
Yeah.
People are just like, oh, this is toxic. I don't want to waste my energy on this because it's just going to put me in a terrible mood and spread negative energy. I think that's a real issue.
No, for sure. I think that an author, her name is Moof. I think Chantel Moof talks a lot about political discourse and how we can't see everyone as an enemy, someone whose ideas we completely reject, but we also can't completely accept everyone's ideas because in that case it's going to lead to hegemony and a lot of other bad things. Instead, we need discourse, constant struggle, and I guess compromise too, for the most part. And I think that the majority probably agrees with that. But the voices of, I guess, the minorities on both sides are too loud. One thing I wish the author did state was that there could be a side of smug superiority and, I guess, political correctness on both sides of the coin. You know, I think that.
There's also trolls on the left.
Yeah. There's. Yeah.
I think it's just a big pile of shit.
Yeah. It's terrible.
We need to clean it up.
Yeah. And I think that as someone who, as an underclassman in high school, someone who's a freshman, sophomore, I did engage with a lot of far right sides. I was going through my Bernie Sanders is the best option for president phase sophomore year.
Okay. And
I argued with a lot of people on Twitter because of it. And I think I soon realized my lesson very quickly that whenever you treat someone like an enemy, like there's someone whose ideas are not worth hearing, they'll, I guess, start to take that anger out on you and start to hate you because of it, and there won't be any productive discourse going on. But I think approaching people respectfully got me called the N-word a few times, but it also resulted in some interesting discussions, which I discovered Nietzsche and a lot of other cool things that resulted from it. So I think it would behoove everyone to just have a rational discussion every once in a while about these issues.
Yeah.
Also, try your hardest not to get angry.
Anonymity is killing.
Yeah.
Any semblance of civil discourse. I think the advent of the internet and social media sees anonymity run wild, and people just say whatever they want with no consequences.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not a good way to have discourse.
Yeah.
I think you should be face to face with someone, honestly, if you want to discuss differences in beliefs.
Yeah, I think looking at someone differently.
You have to look them in their face.
Yeah.
And say that toxic shit you were about to say.
Yeah. It's a lot harder to do that in person, I guess. To put it in another way, say it to my face. You know.
Exactly.
And a lot of people aren't up for that challenge, which is a good thing. I don't think we should be so hateful towards each other, but yeah, definitely being anonymous, or not even necessarily being anonymous, just kind of not knowing this person, not having anything to humanize them with, not knowing how they look like, how they are with their family, just a better side of them.
It's just another avatar on Twitter.
Yeah.
It's just another robot.
Your introduction to them was probably the last 5 posts they made. Yeah. And that's probably it. So I think that's sad.
Yeah. Crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Let's look at some more. Let's pull it up on the computer. I'm gonna look up some current events. Fox News.
Check out Fox News
Let's see what their headlines are.
for discourse's sake.
This is the right time. Okay, Trump's gonna talk to Kim. Not gonna lie, if Trump resolves the North Korea issue, I will be very impressed with Trump.
Yeah.
No matter how much of an idiot he is, if he does that, then might have to pay some respect.
Just a little respect to my man.
My man Donnie. That boy Donnie. Woman 70 for hiring a hitman. Okay. This is pretty much just O.J. Simpson. Oh, this is that's old. Yeah, this is shit. So, yeah, I mean, Snapchat has some news, Twitter has some news.
Yeah.
Let's pull it up.
What do you think of like an objective news source? I've heard a lot of NPR being a good
There's no
objective
such thing
news
as an
source.
objective news source. That's my opinion of it. No one is objective enough to claim to be an unbiased source of news.
I think that's why classes like me and Caleb are taking AP Research 87 are really good because it, I guess, teaches us more to look through the bullshit of things like biased journals, biased articles, and kind of understand, okay, there's something that the author isn't telling us but wants us to kind of subconsciously agree or subconsciously agree. You can see it in addiction.
It's everywhere. Scientific studies, census reports.
Yeah.
I mean, even our legislation, gerrymandering and all that. But, I mean, it's everywhere.
What do you think of gerrymandering? I think we can all
What
agree
do I
that it
think of
fucking sucks. Yeah.
I mean, I don't really. Both sides use it.
And I think there's a computer
think
algorithm
So
that
all
actually,
the best.
yeah.
Gerrymandering algorithm.
It actually determines whether gerrymandering has occurred or not.
Oh.
I think that should be used nowadays, I guess, to put
Well,
people behind bars.
Gerrymandering is always occurring. It's
Yeah.
just common sense, pretty much. Gerrymander, right?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you do it? You want to stay in power as long as possible, unless you're like a real leader.
Things
Something
like
that we
that.
haven't had forever.
Obama? Excuse me.
Uh,
How do you feel about Obama?
he had his issues, like every president.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a solid president.
Kind of wish he
not
was
gonna
more
say-
our time. You know?
I'm not gonna say he was perfect, and I'm not gonna say he was terrible. But yeah, he was solid. He did a good job. Were you expecting praise?
I think that a lot of my generation and my parents idolize Obama for a good reason. He's a cool guy. I think that
He loves memes.
Yeah.
Did you see that? He loves memes.
Being a kid, I don't get the joke.
He had there's a video of him going, "I love memes."
That's Obama right there. Is that an
Where's his
edited
birth
video?
certificate, by the way?
I don't know. Probably somewhere in Hawaii or
Pretty sure he's from Kenya, though.
Kenya or non-American country.
Where you try to say Hawaii is an American country.
That was the joke I was trying to make.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I saw this like 2 years ago in Florida. I was in Publix. Shout out to Publix, best grocery store. I was in Publix and I saw.
Walmart.
Excuse me.
Best grocery store.
We can end this right now
By what?
by stopping the podcast, and you can go home.
If you're afraid of your viewers hearing the truth, that's something you shouldn't be afraid of, Caleb.
I think the Walmart people are terrible.
I think that Walmart people know what's best for them, and they know
No.
to go to the best grocery store they possibly
No,
can.
I'm saying the people that own Walmart.
Oh, probably, yeah.
They're garbage humans.
I just think
And
that
they fuck
Walmart
their workers
as a
in the ass.
place, yeah, I don't disagree, but I think that Walmart as a place is the best.
You should go to the one on Forest Lane.
Is it a bad Walmart?
It's pretty gross. What was I saying?
Your grocery store?
Oh yeah, I saw. You know, like the National Enquirer, and it's like fake news.
Yeah.
Kind of dealios. I saw one, and they had photoshopped a turban on Obama,
Oh wow.
and they said secret ISIS member Obama. I have it still. Hold on. Secret ISIS member Obama should be jailed or something like that. Let's see.
Of course.
Here we go. Look at that. They put a turban on Obama.
Is that a joke?
Maybe. I hope so.
Ideally.
Let's see. Here I have the article. Secret Muslim Obama refuses to stop them. Jail the traitor for treason now.
Oh gosh.
Yikes.
That kind of reminds me of the joke where it's like people tell Muslims to stop terrorizing Americans. Yeah.
Mhm.
And there's a post on Tumblr. I forgot. There's a screenshot of a post on Tumblr I saw on Instagram. Anyhow, it's better explained, but it's essentially a fake write-up of a conference call with the other billion Muslims, and it's a girl, like, I guess, quietly asking them to stop doing terrorism. And it's just a funny joke in response to a stupid comment made by a Tumblr user.
A Tumblr user said that. Wait, let me get this again. A Tumblr user said that Muslims are terrorists.
Yeah, she said maybe you should tell other Muslims to stop terrorizing.
Oh.
Yeah.
Good joke.
Yeah. Ha.
Oh yeah, the video of Obama saying "I love you" is not edited.
Okay.
Hey guys, this is Barack. To Octavia and the Johns Hopkins girls, I want you to know I love men. I love them. Alright? Thanks. Thank you, Mr. President.
Imagine being the one to videotape that with Obama.
He loves nukes.
Yeah.
They're at Johns Hopkins, so I'm sure.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah, they were. I don't know why they were there. But I like Obama more than when he's not president.
Yeah. Or when he was close to his last few years in office.
Yeah, he just didn't care.
Yeah. He stopped giving a fuck.
I think it's terrible. You know what's gonna be funny to see? You've seen all like the before and after pictures of the presidents before they became president and like 4 years later when they're 20 years older.
Yeah.
We're gonna see Trump's picture and he's gonna look the same age because he doesn't care at all.
Yeah.
He has no.
I imagine
stress
he has a
whatsoever.
very stress-free life in office.
He actually doesn't care.
Yeah. I think what's sad about Trump is I truly don't understand the guy. You know.
I do. He's an idiot.
I don't know. I want to see
He's
him
a
in his element.
megalomaniac.
Yeah. I want to see him in his element. Like, what does he do when he's home? Does he
Rapes women.
maybe? Does he play with his kids?
Eats some McDonald's.
Yeah.
He plays golf, by the way.
Okay. Does he buy gifts for his grandchildren? I don't know. I just need this guy to be humanized a little bit for me, so it makes it easier
Well,
for me
he's a
to
lizard
hate
person,
him.
so
Yeah.
it'd be awkward if he was a human.
I think he has a little bit of Cheeto ancestry in him. There's that.
That's got to be a spray tan, right?
Yeah.
He looks like a raccoon.
Listen, okay, we can hate Trump for being a terrible politician.
I'm gonna roast him for how he looks. Don't
I-
try to tell me I can't roast.
I don't want to roast him for how he looks.
Why?
You know, it just feels unfair. It's kind of like people roasting Justin Bieber for sounding too feminine or looking gay. We can't hate him for that. We can hate him for all the other stupid shit he's done.
Yes. What do you think about that Stormy Daniels shit?
What Stormy Daniels shit? I'm not very up to date with current events.
Like the not Pornhub, but got something on my mind now. He has like apparently a sex tape with some porn star.
Okay. Who is he?
Trump.
What? Trump has a sex tape with
I think I don't know if it's a sex tape or if he just had sex with her.
Mhm.
But yeah, she's like taking him to court and shit.
Wow.
Pretty crazy, huh?
That's.
The president has a sex tape. I would watch it.
Sick.
Would you watch it?
I think I would. I'm not gonna lie.
If
I
you could
wouldn't want
see
to.
any of your friends bone, would you do it?
Bone?
Like fuck.
Oh no.
No, you wouldn't pay to see that.
No. My friends definitely not.
Not all your friends, but like if you could pay, you could pick one friend and watch what they look like when they have sex.
I can't think of a single friend I'd want to pay money to watch.
I would just do it out of curiosity, not even out of
Just
a
like what
pleasure
are
thing.
the other
Like,
teenagers doing?
No, not even that. Like, what does this person look like when they, like, I want to see their
that's so
faces.
weird. You could just ask. I'm sure a lot of people would just show you. They weren't so weirded out by the question.
Show me what?
This piece of hair is bothering me so much.
They would show me what?
Can I cut it?
No. They would show you what?
Like their O face. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not genuine.
Yeah, you're right. Probably not too genuine. I guess it depends on how much money.
How much money?
Yeah.
Like $3.
In that case, if I had $3 on me and nothing better to do with my time, maybe, but it's not something I would pay much money for. My friends aren't that interesting to me. So if you have the right moves, you could just figure it out yourself.
What?
If you have the right moves, you could just figure it out yourself.
What does that mean?
Lay down the moves
You're trying to.
on the
Are you
front.
telling me to sleep with my friends?
Yeah. You really want to see their O face.
I'd rather just watch as like I don't want to be involved at all. I just want like an objective view, like nothing even in a sexual way, just like curiosity. Just watch. I don't know. Any other topics you want to hit on?
Save it for the podcast.
Save it for the podcast.
The next podcast.
The next podcast.
How are we doing on time?
We can wrap pretty much any time. We're almost at an hour.
Oh wow, that's crazy. Doesn't feel like an hour.
Yeah, when you forget the mics there, it's pretty easy to talk.
Yeah.
No, I don't have anything else to talk about.
Let's talk about podcasting. It's a closer.
Okay, what about it?
How do you feel?
I feel famous.
Okay.
No, I'm not famous, but it's fun to interview people.
Yeah. I mean, people can't see the setup right now, but it feels pretty professional.
It's really not. There's duct tape all over the mic.
Well, duct tape solves everything. I'd be less impressed if it was any other type of tape, you know?
Yeah, it's Scotch tape. That would work. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to continuing this and getting important people on.
It's going to be your outro.
What do you mean?
It's the ending line for the podcast.
I don't know. What should it be?
Until next time, viewers.
I'll catch you on the next episode. Easy.
I'll catch you on the next episode. And we'll have a fresh plate of soul food for you guys. No?
No.
Okay.
Just catch you on the next episode.
Okay. I just feel like you need a little bit more for that.
No.
Something
I
that's specific to you.
That's specific to me because they're going to be watching the next episode of my podcast.
How about peace out, home scouts?
How is that specific to me at all?
Because you're a homie.
I'm on G, right?
Yeah.
Bro, I went to this party last night and I was literally the only white person.
That's how you party, man. I'm sorry to all the white viewers out there. Listeners.
Why is that? What are you apologizing for?
Just saying that the white people I've experienced, I don't like how they party. Oh
How
god.
they party.
I just feel like
We
this
have
is
some
a bad
racism going
Yeah,
on
we
here.
do have some reverse racism going on. I feel like this is a bad stereotype, but in my experience, maybe this is just a high schoolers thing, but they don't know how to handle their liquor. Not handle their liquor. I want to say.
Watch yourself.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch myself. I want to say not. Maybe it's not white people. Maybe it's the crowd I hang out with that tend to be a little bit more white. Even the black people, African Americans in that crowd, Hispanics, whatever, don't quite know how to get to the point where they understand I shouldn't drink anymore, or else I will throw up, or I will get too fucked up. You know, I think that teenagers nowadays don't know their limits, and the majority I've observed happen to be white people, and that's probably incorrect assumption. I think just the underlying issue is that we're teenagers who probably overdrink.
You shouldn't be drinking at all.
I don't.
I didn't know you were 21.
I don't drink. It's a good thing.
I just watch other people do it.
Yeah, I'm the designated driver.
You don't have a car.
I'm the designated
discuss
biker. I'm the designated
You don't-
Uber caller.
You don't have a phone. Let's discuss that.
Okay, I don't have a phone.
How are you calling Uber?
Use my laptop.
What if there's no Wi-Fi?
Use my friend's phone. Yeah. A lot of ways to get by without a phone.
But why would you? It's 2018 for you.
I know. I just feel like I don't deserve another phone because I've broken so many. Like at this point, I don't want to ask my dad for a new phone. He's kind of like, oh, you can use your brother's phone until you get a new one, and I don't even want that. My youngest brother.
You fit?
Best friend.
I don't know, man.
He is an 8th grader right now. He's 13.
Okay. Yeah. Where did you go?
Should I be saying this to
What's his social security number?
68874? Okay, I'm giving too much of the social security number. So
Was that actually?
it wasn't his actual social security
That
number,
was
but I
yours, then.
changed a few numbers. No, it wasn't mine.
Everyone's gonna look it up now.
Yeah, go ahead. 68874. See what you can do with that.
I wonder what that means you were born.
I mean, I was born in Dallas.
You were born in Dallas.
I'm not gonna give out any more personal information.
I'm just fishing right now.
Born in Dallas. Born in a hospital somewhere in Dallas.
Which hospital? Where can I find your birth certificate?
I actually don't know what hospital I was born in. Is that weird? I feel like a lot of people know, like, I was born at this time at this hospital and I was this many pounds. And I don't know any of that.
I was born at a school hospital. Yeah. It's in my
You were pretentious from birth, jeez.
Yeah.
You're not born in a normal hospital, like the rest of us. I had to be Yale. Fucking bulldog.
Yeah. I mean, I'm elevated. What can I say?
Yeah.
I've been that way since birth.
Culturally, yeah. Right.
Culturally, I'm up here. I have my own culture.
The listeners don't know what up here is. Let's say, just blow the roof off this place.
They don't know where the roof is either.
It's about 12 feet up.
I think I'm gonna wrap right now.
Okay, peace out, Home Scouts.
All right, we'll catch you on the next episode. Oh, that was the wrong.